Now, you say you're the first transgender person to become a Labour Party women's officer. There's quite a little a kerfuffle going on within the Labour Party over the decision of the Labour Party officials to decide that transgender people will have full rights, transgender women, men who have transgendered to be women, they will have full rights to stand, for instance, for women's officer jobs, but also to stand in all women shortlist constituencies. Do you support that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really been Labour policy since the 90s. They just haven't specified it.
Haven't clarified it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's... I'm not a fan of all women shortlists anyway. I think it's rather patronising to have quotas for women, as a woman myself. But do you not think that an awful lot of women might be quite unhappy with the idea that, that someone who is not born a woman would have a right to be on an all-women shortlist?
Well, I think some will be, but as we see with things like the British Social Attitude Survey, the majority of women are strongly in favour of trans women using women's services and having access to women's stuff, and the majority are against transphobia entirely.
But this is where we get into difficult territory, don't we? Where someone, for instance, suggesting that they didn't think that someone who identified as a woman should be allowed on an all-women shortlist. That's not necessarily transphobia. That's not a hate crime. That's just someone expressing an opinion about what they believe, the nature and identity of gender, and also relates, doesn't it? Also to, I suppose, particularly how far down the route someone has gone. I think many people would be quite happy with someone who had lived their life for many years. A man, for instance, had lived life as a woman for many years, had gone through all the medical procedures and was, biologically, in many ways, impossible to tell from someone who had been biologically born a woman. But then what about someone who simply says, I'm a man, but I identify as a woman? No surgery, not even perhaps even any hormone treatment or anything, but simply identifies as a woman. Well, should that person be allowed, that someone who would be regarded by most people as a man, should that person be allowed to stand on an all-women shortlist?
Personally, I think yes.
So you just simply, if you put a skirt on, you can stand in an all-women shortlist. To all intents and purposes, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
I'm saying that if someone says to me they're a trans woman, then I'm inclined to believe them, and I won't say, oh, Sam wants to be Sally, that they are any less of a woman than what they're presenting as in front of me.
Well, except they wouldn't be a woman, they'd be a man.
If they said they were a woman...
Well, no, I can tell you I'm a table, but it doesn't make me a table, does it? I'm still a woman.
Well, there's a difference between someone being born in the incorrect body and someone being a table.
No, I completely understand that people do change their genders, and I'm very supportive of that. But where somebody has changed their gender and is living their life entirely and go through surgery as someone of the other gender, then I think people are far more accepting. But if someone simply says, if I said to you now, I now identify as a man, that doesn't make me a man. I'm still a woman, because words have meanings, don't they?
If you said that you're a man and you believed it, then I would believe that.
Okay, so if I tell you I'm a black man, you'd accept that and believe that, and then I should I should then be treated as someone who suffered from terrible, racism and throughout my life. I mean, that's meaningless, isn't it?
Well, no, because it gets into more complicated biology. But
well, no. Hold on a minute. If you can believe that I'm a man, if I say I'm a man, simply by stating it, then I can just tell you I'm black as well, can't I? And you have to believe that I'm black. You can look at me and know I'm white, but you have to believe I'm black, because if I believe I'm black, then I must be. Is that right? Is that what the logic is of this argument?
No, not at all. You can't just say you're black.
I can't just say I'm black, but I can just say I'm a man. And a man could just say he's a woman and get onto an all-women shortlist.
Well, gender is internal. It isn't an external presentation thing necessarily. In most cases, it is. But
it is. Well, in 99.99999% of cases, it is for most people. That's the issue, isn't it? We could have a scenario, Lily, where I think this will happen. No, but we could have a scenario where we have 5 transgender men, 5 men, biologically born men, saying they identify as women, standing on an all-women shortlist for the Labour Party to get a constituency nomination. And would you be happy with that? If they genuinely believe they were women,
So that they would be trans women, and yes, I'd be very happy with that.
Okay.